morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mayor Hedrick, Mountfield Town Councilman Willis Pike, Mr. Harvey, shipmates, family and friends, and to our guest speaker, Lieutenant Commander Bradley Boyd, Officer in charge of the Submarine Force Library Museum. Welcome to the Submarine Veterans Incorporated Memorial Service, marking the 56th anniversary of the USS Thresher, SSN-593, lost with all hands on April 10, 1963. Guests, please stand. We'll be parading the colors and also be doing our Pledge of Allegiance followed by the national anthem. Color Guard, parade the colors.
Color guard, left face. Color guard, present the colors.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now our national anthem. Color Guard, retire the colors.
Color guard, retire the colors. Color guard, forward, march.
I got everybody can see me.
Yeah.
Don't sink it.
Subvets Chaplain Jack Gallimore will now deliver our invocation.
Please join me in a moment of prayer. Almighty God, we gather here today to remember those who have perished in their service to our country while serving aboard the USS Thresher, SSN-593, nearly 56 years ago on the morning of April 10th, 1963. It has been almost 56 years since that unforgettable morning when we received word of the loss of so many friends and shipmates. We give thanks for the opportunity to remember, though, that we are also approaching the anniversary of the Submarine Veterans Incorporated, established to remember all who served in our submarine service. It is only fitting as we gather here at this museum and remember each of the Thresher crew and civilians who died that day. We give thanks and express our gratitude for the opportunity to join with our shipmates and friends from around the country who served their country in both war and in peace. We give thanks for the comradeship we shared with our departed shipmates, and we reaffirm our commitment to not forget them. We share the awareness of your presence within each and every one here today, and for this we are truly grateful. Amen.
Amen. Guests, please be seated. Try to do the best with my speech. My eyes, I refuse to wear my readers. I look better without them. So we'll go on from there. Friends and family, welcome. Welcome to USSVI Groton-based USS Thresher SSN-593 Memorial Service. We are here today to honor our 129 submarine heroes who have left for eternal patrol on April 10th, 1963. USS Thresher SSN-593, less than 2 years old, and the lead boat in a new class of nuclear power fast attacks submarines, began deep diving tests about 200 miles to the east of Cape Cod, Massachusetts. The submarine rescue ship, USS Skylark, ASR-20, stood by overhead. At 0930, Skylark received a garbled transmission over the underwater telephone. Thresher reported experiencing minor difficulties, had positive up angle, attempting to blow. But Thresher and the 129 men she carried, which included 17 civilians, never returned to the surface. The remains of the submarine, broken up into 6 major sections, were eventually found scattered over a large area no more than 8,000 feet in water. After a thorough examination of photographs, objects recovered from the bottom, and records of the submarine construction and maintenance, a court of inquiry concluded that the Thresher's troubles likely began with the joints of her saltwater piping system, and many of which had been brazed rather than welded. And from this tragedy, the submarine safety program we all know as SubSafe was started. And since this inception, we have not lost any submarine certified, any SubSafe certified submarine. The central theme of Lest We Forget were the words spoken by Senator John Pastoral of Rhode Island, who served as chairman of the Joint Committee on Atomic Energy at the time. And at the December 1964 hearings on the loss of USS Thresher. And since this tragedy, the submarine service has gone through several changes, but what has never ceased was that we have never forgotten those who have come before us. In 1963, shortly after the loss of the USS Thresher, a World War II submariner named Dominic Joe Negri initiated the formation of a submarine veterans organization to recognize all of us submariners. And as we know, in 1966, Joe raffled off a gold Cadillac, and we live now at 40 School Street for the last 50 years. The creed of our organization, though, opens up with to perpetuate the memory of our shipmates who gave their lives in pursuit of their duties. That creed means a lot to a lot of us because we strive every day to remember those who came before us. Many of you here today served during the Thresher period, had shipmates who served on board the USS Thresher. So this day is for you a day to pause to reflect upon those memories of those shipmates that you had. And discuss the sacrifices they made on board the USS Thresher. But what you guys have also done is set a tradition, is that we shall never forget them. And you ensure that you taught those who came after you that they would never forget the sacrifices that the USS Thresher did and the sailors, telling their stories. For example, today during field day, we call it cleaning up the clubhouse, Tom told us stories about Lieutenant Commander Harvey, who was his executive officer aboard the USS Sea Dragon. And then we talked about stories about Robert Gaynor, who was on the Sea Dragon, who transferred to the USS Thresher. So, for those of us who've only known stories of the Thresher from what we were taught in sub-school, what we were taught throughout our lives when we qualified various parts of the submarine, qualified QA inspector, QA supervisor, so forth and so forth, is that we just remember those stories. And it's up to us to carry on that tradition so that no sailor who comes after us forget what they went through. That's the task that we carry on, that was passed on for us from our members you see who are wearing the hats, the goat hats, known the Holland Club members. For those of you who don't know, the Holland Club members are those qualified submarines for over 50 years. So they passed on to us, and we passed on to those fine sailors who are sitting in the back, who will start their journey. So one of the things as a sub-base base commander of one of the largest bases in the organization of submarine vets is that we never forget. We never forget where we came from, and we make sure that those that come after us never forget. So the motto by Senator John Pastore, lest we forget. So lest we forget those submariners who came before us and laid the foundation for what we submariners are now. So lest we forget the crew members in the 65 submarines that are on internal patrol. So lest we forget the 129 members of the USS Thresher. So lest we forget the 99 members aboard the USS Scorpion. And so lest we forget our family, our Groton members who passed away and their family members this year. And so lest we forget our legacy, the legacy that was passed on to us, and that we will pass on to those who come after us. We shall never forget where we came from. So now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Lieutenant Commander Boyd. He is the officer in charge of this fine organization. This is what we live. This tells you our history, our memory, what we have here. What a better place than the Submarine Force Library Museum to hold one of our memorials. So ladies and gentlemen, it's my distinct honor to introduce to you Lieutenant Commander Bradley Boyd.
Good morning. Good morning. April 10th, 1963. Thresher was lost with all hands. This was the third peacetime submarine loss post-World War II. The nation and the world reacted with compassion for the families who lost their sons, brothers, husbands, and fathers in the pursuit of freedom. Sailors throughout the world have conveyed reverent respect for this crew, who paid part of the never-ending tribute demanded by the seas from those who dared to venture above, on, or beneath the waters. The tragic loss of Thresher is a sad but gallant extension of the tradition of honor, courage, and commitment, which have been hallmarks of the Navy and the submarine force in particular throughout the 20th and 21st centuries. While not lost due to enemy action, the crew, observers, and technicians aboard Thresher gave their lives to ensure the survival of our country's ideals and continuance of the liberties we cherish today. All of us will one day pass from this world. What we leave behind is what we are remembered by. The crew of Thresher left behind their families and their loved ones. They also left behind something for the sailors of today and tomorrow. They left behind a legacy. That legacy is a culture of safety in the construction, maintenance, and operations of our submarines. It is evident in the safety record since the loss of Thresher. We have lost 3 submarines since April 10th, 1963. USS Scorpion in 1968, USS Bonefish in 1988, and USS Miami in 2012. In 56 years, we have lost 3 submarines. This compared to the non-enemy action losses of 37 in the first 63 years of the service. 4 prior to World War I, 5 during World War I, 13 between World War I and World War II, 12 during World War II, and 3 between World War II and April 10, 1963. During the first 63 years of our history, the submarine force lost submarines at an average rate of almost 2 per year. Following the loss of Thresher, this was cut to an average rate of about 1 for every 19 years. This does not diminish the loss and sacrifice of those tragedies before or after Thresher, but shows the turning point Thresher was for the submarine force. This dramatic change is almost solely due to the lessons learned from the construction of Thresher. Shortly after the loss, additional safety measures were recommended to be put in place in the construction of new submarines and retrofitting of existing submarines where possible. Joint inspections, while done on all ships up to and including Thresher, were only visual inspections, mallet tests, and chemical tests. The absolute integrity of the joint was still unverified. We soon shifted to ultrasonic testing of our joints, which allows for inspection beyond what the naked eye can see. A mallet can impact, and a chemical can penetrate. Quality assurance programs were overhauled and expanded their scope. Specifically, as Jeff mentioned, Submarine Safe or SubSafe program was created. This program required the tracking of all material that was to be used in the assurance of the submarine's ability to return to the surface or evacuate the crew, escape hatches, flood control, hull and backup valves, emergency air, salvage air, external hull fittings, and the list goes on, will be tracked from raw material throughout the industrial process to final product. Additionally, 50% of that final product of every batch would be tested to failure to ensure proper function. The main ballast tank blow systems were modified to ensure recoverability from a flooding casualty at all depths, and studies were conducted and are still conducted for every class of submarine to ensure that the crew understands what condition the submarine can be operated in to ensure the emergency blow system has the ability to save the ship. Seawater system designs were reviewed to eliminate unnecessary legs of seawater piping, greatly reducing the potential flooding could occur. Emergency flood control was enhanced, such as it can be operated remotely with remote indication, away from any source of flooding, in continuously manned locations, ensuring the ability of the crew to operate flood control at a moment's notice, regardless of the conditions at the actual scene of the casualty. There are submariners alive today who have been involved in horrific accidents that would not be here without the lessons we learned from Thresher. I served on my last ship with a fellow department head who had been a division officer on board. In fact, he was the engineering officer of the watch at the time. The USS San Francisco struck a seamount, submerged at flank speed. The sonar dome was crushed. There were multiple seawater leaks. One shipmate was lost. One main ballast tank could not be maintained dry, and she had to perform a low-pressure blow through the entire surface transit back to port. Yet, despite how badly things went, and the tragic loss of life, San Francisco was repaired and continued her service until 2016. In fact, she's a conversion to become a moored training ship, which will serve for decades to come in Charleston, South Carolina. Without the construction changes and program reviews that came out of the loss of Thresher, my friend would not have served beside me. The loss of Thresher touches all in this room, and countless more throughout the world. Some have served their country, some are in port now, training to go back to sea. As I speak, some of them are on watch underway, and still others are waiting for their loved ones to come home safely. And finally, some of them don't know the story we speak of today, but will know it, and know it well in the years to come, as they have yet to join the submarine force and stand their first watch, where they will seek to protect our future, thanks to the lessons and the legacy of the past. Thank you.
Today is we do a lot of memorials. Today's a bunch of us were at the clubhouse, our second home. And we're talking about, we'd never done a centric USS Thresher memorial. We said, well, that's the foundation for subvents. So today is our first really inaugural remembrance of the Thresher, of her specifically. So we do the tolling of the boats. And the tolling of the ship's bell reminds us of the reverence that we owe to our departed shipmates, and to those who guard the honor of our country while serving silently under the sea. It's our way of paying a tribute to the men in their boats and remembering their deeds and sacrifices. The tolling of boats is a unique tradition, time-honored product passed on to us by the Submarine Service of World War II. Submarine was originally called two-bell ceremony, where the bell was tolled for each submarine that was lost. Today we'll toll it once for those members that we lost on board USS Thresher. So today we are here as shipmates and as fellow submariners and family members to remember all those who paid the sacrifices, not just those 129 sailors that went down on the boat. Of those 129 sailors, 17 of them were civilian shipyard workers from Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Not just those 129 members went down, but their family members that were touched by this. You hear some of the names here. We have two brothers that were on board together that lived in Groton. One mother lost both her sons, her only sons. So it touches deep when we do this. So today, conducting tolling the bell will be our Mr. Charlie McMullen. He'll be ringing the bell for us. But we have 6 fine gentlemen reading the names of the sailors and shipyard workers that we lost. It will be machinist mate fireman Keegan Kors, who started his journey aboard the USS Colorado. We'll be using our past base commander, Mr. John Carstopole, who's been up at this podium numerous times doing those memorial services, who led the foundation. We have joining us Lieutenant Commander Harvey's, who was the commanding officer of the USS Thresher when she went down, his son, Mr. Bruce Harvey. We have past base commander Stan Mathis. We have Mr. Bob Doolin and junior vice commander Mr. Jared Kors. So shipmates, please pause to remember those of our shipmates who sailed in harm's way and did not return. Lord, these departed shipmates with dolphins on their chests are part of an outfit known as the best. Make them welcome and take them by the hand. You find without a doubt they were best in all the land. So Heavenly Father, with their names on the rolls of our departed shipmates still on patrol, let them know that we who will survive will and shall always keep their memories alive. So if my readers please post, I'd be very appreciative. Yeah? Okay. Actually, no, John, you two swap. So you still need me. Submit it. First up will be Fireman Kors.
Fred Abrams, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Philip Allen, Lieutenant Commander, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Tillman Arswell, ENCA SS. Ronald Barcott, Lieutenant Junior Grade. Ronald Bain, EN2 SS. Daniel Buell, Jr., Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. John Bell, MM1. Robert Benderman, Lieutenant, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. John Billings, Lieutenant Commander, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Edgar Bobbitt, EM2 SS. Gerald Boster, EM3 SS. George Gracie, SD3 SS. Richard Graham, EN2 SS. Richard Korsuski, EN2 SS. Patrick Carmody, SK2. Stephen K, TM2 SS. Robert Jerome, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Edward Christine, SNSS. Larry Clausing, EM2SS. Thomas Clements, ETR3SS. Merrill Carler, Lieutenant. Kenneth Coram, Sperry Corporation.
Kenneth Critchley, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Francis Cummings, SOS-2SS. Paul Currier, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Samuel DeBruzzi, ETN-2SS. Clyde Davison III, ETR-3. Donald Day, EN-3SS. Roy Denny Jr., EM-1SS. Richard Desjardins, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Peter DeBella, Seaman. Michael Denola, Lieutenant Commander. George Deneen, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Don Dundas, EN-2SS. Troy Dyer, ET-1SS. Richard Fisher, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Elward Forney, SOCA-SS. Raymond Foti, ET-1SS. Larry Freeman, FTM-2SS. Gregory Fusco, EM-2SS. Andrew Gallant Jr., HMC-SS. Napoleon Garcia, SD-1SS. John Garner, YNSN-SS. Pat Garner, Lieutenant Commander, Executive Officer.
Robert Gaynor, EN-2SS. Robert Gosnell, SASS. John Grafton, Lieutenant Junior Grade. William Graham, SOC-SS. Paul Garrett, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Aaron Gunter, QM-1SS. Richard Hall, ET-R2SS. John Harvey, Lieutenant Commander, Commanding Officer. Norman Hayes, EM-1. Laird Heiser, MM-1. Marvin Helsius, MM-2. James Henry Jr., Lieutenant Junior Grade. Leonard Hewitt, EMCA-SS. Joseph Hogue, TM-2-SS. James Hodge, EM-2. John Hudson, EN-2-SS. John Inglis, FN. Maurice Jaquet, Raytheon Corporation. Brewer Johnson, FTG-SS. Edward Johnson, ENCA-SS. Richard Johnson, RMSA. Robert Johnson, TMC-SS.
no glasses, and a glare. Thomas Johnson, ET1SS. Richard Jones, EM2SS. Edmund Kaluza, SOS2SS. Thomas Clant, ETR2SS. Robert Carney, MM3. Ronald Kyler, IC2SS. George Kilstucker, MM2SS. Billy Clyer, EN1SS. Robert Cragg, Lieutenant Commander, Staff Duty Command, Submarine Force Atlantic Fleet. George Croner, CS3. Donald Kuchler, Sperry Corporation. Norman Lanquette, QM1SS. Wayne Lavari, YN1SS.
Henry Moreau, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Ronald Muse, CS2. James Musselwhite, ETN2SS. Donald Nault, CS1 SS. Walter Nunes, RMC SS. John Norris, ET1 SS. Chesley Oting, EM2. Franklin Palmer, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Guy Parsons, Jr., Lieutenant, junior grade. Roscoe Pennington, EMCA SS. James Peters, EMCS. James Felipe, SO2SS. Daniel Philpott, EN2SS. Richard Podwell, MM2. Robert Prescott, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. John Reagan, MM1SS. James Ritchie, RM2. Purvis Robinson Jr., Seaman. Glenn Roundtree, QM2 SS. Anthony Rushetsky, ETN2. James Shue, EM1 SS. Benjamin Schaefer, EMCM SS.
John Schaefer, EMCS SS. Joseph Shimko, MM1. Burnett Shotwell, ETR SN. Alan Sinnett, FTG2 SS. John Smars Jr., Lieutenant. William Smith Jr., BT1. James Snyder, MM1. Ronald Solomon, EM1. Donald Stadmuller, Sperry Corporation. Robert Stenell, SO1 SS. Roger Van Pelt, IC1 SS. Joseph Walski, RM1 SS. David Wassel, RMSN. Lawrence Witten, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Charles Wiggins, FTG 1. John Wiley, Lieutenant Junior Grade. Donald Wise, MMCA SS. Ronald Wolf, QM SN SS. Jay Swiffle, EM2.
Finally, there is a port of no return, where ships may ride at anchor for a little space, and then some night the cable slips, leaving only an eddy at the mooring place. Gulls veer no longer, sailor, rest your oar, no tango wreckage will be washed ashore. Gentlemen, thank you. Guests, we will now have a laying of the wreath. Placing the wreath representing the USS Thresher, SSN-593, her crew and family members, will be Mr. Bruce Harvey, son of Lieutenant Commander Harvey, Commanding Officer, USS Thresher. He shall be escorted by Richard Romack. Guests could remain standing for taps. Please remain standing for a reading of our creeds. It's always a tradition here, and we will not stop that tradition that we remember our past. So we will read the World War II Submarine Veterans Creed, which will be read by Mr. Forrest Kramer, and our own Sub-Vets Creed will be read by Mr. Bob Gustafson.
U.S. Subvets World War II Creed. To perpetuate the memory of those shipmates who gave their lives in submarine warfare, to further promote and keep alive the spirit and unity that existed among the United States Navy submarine crew during World War II, to promote sociability, general welfare, and good fellowship among its members, and pledge loyalty and patriotism to the United States government.
The U.S. Subvets Incorporated Creed, to perpetuate the memory of our shipmates who gave their lives in pursuit of their duties while serving their country, that through dedication, deeds, and supreme sacrifice be a constant source of motivation toward greater accomplishments. Pledge loyalty and patriotism to the United States of America and its Constitution.
I'd like to invite Mr. Jack Gallimore back up here, who will read our benediction. Thank you, sir.
Please join me in a moment of prayer. Dear God, as we leave this place of remembrance, we once again give thanks for the many blessings you have bestowed upon us and to this nation. May you continue to grant those blessings upon all who serve you and the United States of America. We humbly ask that you continue to bless those shipmates who, for one reason or another, were unable to attend this event. And for those who are under the weather, and to those who are serving in our military this very day to protect our country. As we go forth, we carry the awareness of a continued presence as it is with those we remember here today. Amen.
Amen. Yes, please be seated. I'd like to offer a warm thank you to Lieutenant Commander Boyd for his remarks and for joining us today. I'd like to thank all our honored guests for coming, Brian Oaks, various veterans of foreign wars, and other veterans organizations that showed up today. It's very much appreciated. To our town councilman from Montville, Mr. Wills Pike, Mr. Hendrick, our mayor for Groton City. I'd like to thank everyone who participated in our ceremony today. And I really hope that those standing in the back of the room, the sailors who are commencing their journey that I'm so envious of and I'm jealous of every day, and I see a submarine sailor, that they understand what this is all about and they carry on the tradition in their future. A reception will follow at our clubhouse at 40 School Street. Everyone's welcome. And I hope everyone joined us. And I'd like to thank everyone very much for coming. And please have a glorious, wonderful day. And God bless you all. Thank you. That concludes our ceremony.